welcome to the Walnut Desk Podcast. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Will.
And today we're here to talk with you, about eyes. But first, what's new?
Oh, we are, as the Walnut Desk Podcast, going to try a couple new things. First of all, we want to ask you just a huge favor. If at this point during the podcast, if you're listening in the iTunes app or you're listening on your phone or anything, to just take a moment, just pause the podcast, head over to the reviews and rating section. And if you haven't tapped that 5th star or just typed up one sentence, both would be the best. It really, I don't know, I think we need to take a minute and describe how much a review and like a rating helps us out in the iTunes.
Yeah, it's like even like pretty big podcasts don't have a ton of reviews in there. And if we get them, then iTunes is more likely to recommend us to other listeners.
Yeah, we have a few reviews right now. And if all of the people who download our episode every week were to just go over and give a 5-star and a sentence, we would immediately pop up onto some leaderboards, just looking at numbers and comparing things like that. So really important, and it would really make us very happy because we're trying to start some new segments. We're going to start launching some short videos on the YouTube channel. Yeah,
we're going to start recording short segments. We react to things, we talk about things. You can consume them in like 3 to 5 minutes. See our faces.
Exactly. And the more you guys like that stuff, right, and the more we get reviews and all of that stuff on iTunes, the more we can put energy into better content creation and just consistently improving this podcast for you. So that's our big ask from the intro.
Yep. Also, this Saturday, we're going to return the guesting to the Desert Island Discourse podcast.
Yeah.
They're going to do a short segment.
Okay.
And we're going to defend the album King of Limbs by Radiohead because we think it's great, and Max rags on me for thinking it's good all the time.
Yeah, and they like did a whole podcast on Radiohead and kind of just like had this flippant attitude towards the King of Limbs as
totally skimmed over it.
Yeah, and Ryan and I both think that it's one of the high quality Radiohead albums.
Yeah, it just does it all the time.
Me too.
Well, we'll leave that for the podcast, and here we go. Okay, so for you, we are going to first define I. You might think you know. You might think it's a straightforward definition, but
you have no idea.
Maybe one of the reasons we're choosing to do this is the definition that we found on Google. Each of a pair of globular organs in the head through which people and vertebrate animals see. The visible part typically appearing almond-shaped in animals with eyelids. 2. A thing resembling an eye in appearance, shape, or relative position in particular. And verb, to look at or watch closely or with interest.
Yeah.
All
right, I take immediate contention with definition number 1 right now. They had to give a clarifier. Are we living in a time really where we can't just say vertebrate animals and understand that means people too? Like, people and vertebrate animals. We are a special class of vertebrate animals that deserves to be mentioned in a separate phrase.
No, we're not special.
No. Vertebrate animals. So the new definition of I is each of a pair of globular organs in the head through which vertebrate animals see.
Done. There's our definition.
Ugh. Speaking of eyes, I'm really frustrated right now, and one of the reasons that I was so passionate about doing the Eye podcast today was my eyes fucked up, Ryan.
Yeah, I can only see one of Will's eyes right now.
I have a warm compress on my right eye. I've had a warm compress on my right eye for the better part of the day for the last week and a half.
Why is that?
So I have spoken to a doctor. I haven't seen a doctor, however, over video chat and and like phone calls, you can kind of triangulate what the hell's wrong with it. So as far as I know, my eye's not going to fall out.
That's good.
As far as I know, anytime I approach an individual out in public, one of 3 things will be said to me. It's like, did you get punched in the eye?
Yep.
Do you have pink eye? Or what the hell happened to your eye?
That's like the first thing the strangers open with.
Which has been great for my like boosting my own ego by making people laugh. Because I just get to do bits now. Like, you're already in performance mode.
Yeah,
when
you
go into any public space, when you have a sort of like deformity, temporary or otherwise, this. So I'll describe it like my eye. I felt like I was like getting a pimple, and I was like, oh, I know what a sty is. Like that's a thing. Apparently, there's 2 types of like eyelid, body messes up with some cell breakage and it turns into some kind of gross shit under your skin.
Like
it's two different kinds.
Shit?
Yeah, but not because
Okay.
it's just built up in there. It's not like it's like coming out. If it was
just-
coming out, I would just spend 3 days wipe it away and
Is it just like
better.
excess human material being made in your body?
Exactly.
You're
and
more
it's-
human than human.
It's like this waxy, oily stuff, like when it does come out, but it doesn't come out a lot. But basically, it's a pimple, but it's not underneath the skin and above my eyelid. It's actually in between, like, my eyelid and the skin. Like, it's not a skin thing, it's an eyelid thing.
Okay.
So it's a new layer, and it's called a chalazion. And
Chalazion?
don't Google it because other people's are worse than mine.
Oh, okay.
It's, like, bad.
Is it going to get that bad?
It might. And
no.
So the end game of this is they're going to have to flip my eyelid inside out and then scalpel it
Ugh.
and then pull out all the shit that's in my eye.
Yeah.
Or I hot compress the shit out of it and use these like ocular steroids that they gave me.
What?
But that looks like what I have, doesn't it?
Sorry,
the
we're looking
simple
at
version.
photos of these chalazions.
That kind of the upper eyelid one from the outside. Does
I don't
that
think I
not
could
look
do it.
exactly like what I have?
It does look like it. It does look like it. Okay. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So So medium term. Go back. Let's read about it. Because I'm not a doctor.
Okay.
You don't have to open the pictures. Just here we go. Mayo Clinic summary. Boom.
Yep.
200,000 cases per year. So it's pretty common. No lab tests. Treatable by a doctor. Resolves within months. And that's what's fucking freaking me out because I haven't wanted to leave the house for like a week.
Right.
Because I'm like, I look like a fucking, who knows?
Right. Right.
So I've been warm compressing and steroiding my eye for a week, and I think it's been getting a little bit better. But I still look like a goblin.
Yeah. I mean, it's like intense. I mean, it's not horrifying.
No.
But it's noticeable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just enough that you have to like be prepared to talk about it, and I'm gonna have to be prepared to talk about it for like 2 months.
I mean, we're talking about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like getting ahead of it, getting ahead of the narrative.
Okay. Okay.
It's like, if I tell you that I smell bad before you smell me, like, it kind of disarms you.
Well, I mean, you've been warm compressing it for a while now, so hopefully it's on its way out.
That's up to the fates.
To the eye gods.
The eye gods.
All right, so what else do we have about eyes? Do you have floaters?
I mean, now I don't even have the time to think about floaters because I have a chalazion.
Are floaters just something that everyone has?
I think so.
Because I've described them to people, and without fail, everyone that I've talked about floaters with responded with like, "Yeah, those are annoying."
When do you notice them? I have a theory about that. Like they're only noticeable under certain circumstances.
Let's see. Earlier in the day,
Okay.
Usually in the mornings,
Okay.
when I'm like groggy-eyed a little bit.
Okay.
Also, kind of when I haven't had enough sleep, I think, or something.
Huh.
Like sometimes in the afternoons I get them, and I actually the sleep problem part is just conjecture. I have no idea.
See, you didn't hit on any of the things in my theory, which makes me feel like I should throw it out. But I'm going to say it anyway.
What is it? Yeah.
That I only ever notice the floaters when I look at a clear blue sky. And not directly at the sun, like if the sun's to my
Really?
back, whatever. But it provides a uniform, like, or if you like stare at a white wall.
Yeah.
Or so, like anything where you have a consistent color and texture, I start to notice these little things kind of going around in my
Right.
field of vision. Do I even know what a floater is?
I don't think so. Okay, so when I'm looking at the wall now, and if I'm just like honest about my weird eye stuff, then like I do see like more than just a white wall. You kind of see like a bunch of little tiny sparkly color things.
Yes.
Right? Those aren't floaters.
See, I just see these little like stringy kind of like wormy looking things. They kind of come in and they like will move around my frame of vision, but I can like blink
That
them
sounds
hard,
right.
blink them away.
Okay. I haven't been able to maybe I haven't tried really hard to blink
Maybe I
them
just
away.
forget about it. Maybe I blink them away and I believe that they're gone. Yeah, it looks okay. So most eye floaters are caused by age-related changes, Ryan, that occur as the jelly-like substance inside of your eyes becomes more liquid.
Whoa.
So it's ocular degeneration.
Yeah. So you're basically just watching your eyes degenerate.
That's sad.
That sucks. I've had those for a long time. My eyes are going to go. I haven't needed glasses.
Your eyes are gonna go. What would you change them to?
What do you
Because
mean?
let's assume, let's play this out.
Yeah.
Your eyes go.
Like I go blind?
What's next? Science fiction, how do you see?
I mean, my solution is generally robot, so I want robot eyes, probably.
Okay. That's probably the most doable.
With heat vision, I would love some heat vision.
Ooh.
I don't want the X-ray vision that people talk about.
No, that's creepy.
That sucks.
Even
but
if
I do
it was
want
selective, you wouldn't even really want that.
If I could look into my apartment before I'm in there and see where the cat was, then that would be good. That would be cool. Just some heat
you'd
vision.
be less rushed to get through the door so that the cat can't run out into the wild. Because you did sign a contract that said you can't let your cat into the wild.
Can't let my cat out into the wild. Little fucker. They almost didn't give us the cat when I'd said maybe I'll take it for a walk on a leash.
I don't think you've told the story on the podcast.
I haven't. So we went to go adopt this cat, Sunny, whose name came with the cat. And then the adoption place, the people there, were asking us about how we would treat the cat, what we would feed the cat, normal questions. And they were like, well, will you ever let her outside? And I was in this moment, I was like, what am I supposed to say?
Right,
I'm not thinking about what I would do anymore.
It's like an interview. You want to answer the question the way you're supposed to answer the question.
Totally.
Just to move through the fucking bureaucracy.
So I took
the cat.
I took the easiest path, depending on what they wanted from me. I said, maybe on a leash or something. And no, I would never fucking take a cat outside on a leash.
You towed the exact middle line.
That's the exact middle.
Was maybe, so probably not.
Right, but maybe.
But if I did, I would put it on a leash so that it wouldn't get away.
So I'm being responsible.
No.
They were fucking pissed about that. The lady that I talked to, kind of went away after that conversation. She wasn't the person who owned the cat. She was mediating the adoption process.
Did she go back into the dark boardroom of animal adoption and convene a meeting of cat ladies to determine whether or not you were worthy?
It was a room full of cigar smoke. And the owner lady, she was totally cool with that response. Here's the fucked up thing, all right? She described her home, which is a place...
Which is an outdoor home.
As I understand it, it was full of cats. Tons and tons of cats. And this cat particularly didn't get along with the other cats. So she was happy to have her go to a place where we don't have any other pets.
Called the outdoors. Where there are no pets, only bigger pets that eat your smaller pets.
Yeah, and I got the sense that the cats in her home just do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
So... Why were we met with suspicion after I said maybe I'll walk the cat on a leash once? I don't know. But yeah, we almost didn't get the cat. Ugh. And then we got the cat.
And you got the cat. So as far as replacing your eyes go, I feel like that's a prime thing as long as only your eyeball goes. Which at this rate, if my eye were to go from this disease, whatever I have, it's not a disease.
Would you go with a patch?
Well, that was suggested to me at the bar the other night.
Yep.
And I was like, I could do that. I was like, but they only sell white eye patches.
What?
I would need a black eye patch so that I can full on become a pirate.
Leopard print.
I'm not gonna wear a medical eye patch. I'm gonna wear it and wear it with confidence.
Yeah.
And only order black rum at the bar.
Exactly. Yeah.
And make it part of my start wearing big frilly button-down shirts.
Arr.
And say R once a month.
Yeah.
And then every month ratchet it up one, and exponentially by 2 years from now it'll be a seamless transition.
And the audience will be used to it, so you can say it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Well,
you know the eye patch thing? You know what that's for?
Do I know?
Why pirates wear eye patches?
Oh yeah, so that they could see in the dark.
Yeah, right? It makes sense. I just didn't know it until too late in my life. I've known it for a few years, but for those not in the know, pirates spend a lot of time on boats. The bottom of a boat back in the day doesn't have electricity. It's not your Royal Caribbean bullshit. So they go down into the keep, and they've got the eye patch, and they just rip the eye patch off, close the other eye, and they've got instant, as good as it can get, night vision.
That's humans being fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Is what that is.
Smarter than us.
Anyway, yeah.
So, heat vision, no X-ray
vision. Heat vision would be cool, but here's the thing. We're thinking about eye replacements, and here's the problem. Because I said I didn't want the X-ray vision before.
But you want it.
And it's true I don't want it.
He's changed his mind, folks.
But think about the heat vision, too, because could you control... So the problem is you need to be able to control the extent to which you can see these enhanced layers of the surrounding world.
I'm with you.
You need to be able to control that.
Okay.
So like if you had X-ray vision, you want to be able to be like, yes, no, you, not you, this safe, not this elephant. I don't want to see its innards or something. You need to have control over the spectrum of its power. With heat, I would want the same thing. I don't want to know where my neighbor in the next apartment over is like hanging out. You know, I don't want to know what the people upstairs are doing. I just don't want to be overwhelmed with this information I don't need. But here's the thing. Eyes, they overwhelm us with information all the time.
That's true.
We don't need to see everything that we can see.
No, we don't. In fact, we probably are seeing more than we can see, and we're just not processing it. We're probably picking up some waveforms that don't mean shit on Earth, and we just ignore them.
I mean, they're limited. We don't see, you know, there's the mantis shrimp who sees a spectrum of light that's like fucking crazy.
Yeah, and if you haven't listened to the Radiolab Colors podcast, that's the one to hop over to. It's fantastic.
Definitely.
They do an audio equivalent of the visible light spectrum for animals on the planet, and put us on a spectrum and play like, oh, this is how the West African bullfrog sees, and this is how the mantis shrimp sees.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's great. They do a really good job of communicating the difference, and it's remarkable. It's more impressive than you would think. And so if we have limited sight, and we generally assume that improving it, seeing farther, seeing a better spectrum of colors would be a positive thing, and that humans would adapt to that and find some sort of advantage out of it. But what if it would just be overwhelming and you would wear sunglasses or something?
The way I would program it to work is like, get the robot eyes, and the robot eyes have a bunch of features. Have you ever played the game Metroid Prime?
Oh yeah, of course.
So you know how you have different visors in Metroid Prime, like you can see X-ray or you can see heat, and it kind of like it flips over your bionic suit. So the way I would anticipate the future eyeball being is that inside of each of the circular eyeballs there are different visors or lenses that you could click on and off.
So you want like
at will.
Google eyeball, I want Apple eyeball.
Yeah, I want to be like, okay, eyeball.
Yeah.
Initiate radar night vision.
Right, and then you have like fully immersive VR options. That probably would be through the roof.
Build into your eyes. Maybe the eyes are the first thing to go. We thought teeth might be, but eyes might be the first thing to go.
See, I don't dislike eyes as much as I dislike teeth, but I do think that they could use the most upgrade.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy, here's a crazy thing also with eyeballs. So the world exists, right?
Maybe.
And our brain. So let's make that a given. The world exists.
Okay.
Let's take that on. If there's someone listening right now, there's obviously some degree of reality.
Right.
Whether it's objective is where kind of the eyeball comes into question, right?
True.
And you sense light.
Yep.
Photons entering a light sensor, your eyeball, being processed and then delivered via nerve to your brain.
Yeah, it's a very complex process of it gets flipped, right? Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to talk about was that your eyes take the light in.
Yep.
And the symbols, the messages, whatever, the pictures that go to your brain are upside down, and your brain then has to flip reality back to right side up.
Yes.
There have to be millions of errors, oversights, or shortcuts that the human brain takes.
Absolutely.
Like, that explains a lot of shit, I think, that people claim to have seen.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean,
do you think Bigfoot is a filter in between, like, the ocular nerve and the brain, where, like, someday someone has a Bigfoot filter on and they're like, shit, I saw him!
So what you're saying, this is interesting, because what you're saying is that, you know, we don't talk about, or we haven't really made it a popular idea that there is a wide variety in the way that people's eyes as an organ are functioning at any given moment, so that not only could we have the, you know, stoner conversation of is your blue my blue, but we can also have the conversation of like have your organs or the processing of the signal from the organs triggered a hallucination that isn't otherwise triggered by the brain.
Right. It's exactly.
I have no idea.
No, neither.
We need hard science,
right?
Listeners, if you give us if you give us a review and you know the answer to this question, or you know more about this than we do, please link to it in your review.
Yeah, we'd love to talk about it for real.
Yeah.
But until that time, I'm just staring at this computer.
It's true.
Wondering how upside down it really is in my brain.
I have no idea. I don't know. We have no way of figuring this out.
I have no way to know.
So, in treating your eye thing, What have you put stuff in it? Because I want to talk about putting stuff in eyes.
Okay, here we go. So I was given a prescription. It's a ocular steroid, for lack of a better term. I'm sure there's a medical definition on the box that I threw away.
Sounds tasty.
And you are supposed to, quote, the instructions are, instill a 1/2 inch ribbon into the eye.
A ribbon? Does it come out like relatively flat and wide?
Yeah, that's why it's fucking gross.
Whoa.
So this is not an eye drop. This is not your Visine, or for you stoners out there, Roto.
Yeah.
But
what's the consistency?
Vaseline?
It's the consistency of Vaseline?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's got some steroid in it.
Yikes.
And so the word instill, I was like groggy and like one eye shut at the pharmacy picking this stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
And the pharmacist was like, yeah, just like, put it on your pinky finger because it's the softest one. Mm-hmm. And then just like, hold your eye and rub it on there. And I was like, okay, cool. So for the first 3 days, I had this shit on my eyelid because that's what I thought the problem was.
Right.
And then I had this like nothing's happening feeling.
I
was like, this isn't working. And so I went back and I read the like directions that come inside the box. And they were like, no, you're supposed to pull your lower eyelid out. Whoa. You're supposed to then, quote, instill a 1/2 inch ribbon along the bottom of your eye and then close into your eye, Vaseline.
All right. God.
Twice a day.
It's fucked up.
Three times if you think you can accelerate the healing process by being your own.
Are you doing it 3 times?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does it feel like?
At this point, it feels like fucking normal. I'm just used to putting shit in my eye right now. It feels like you want to blink something away, but it's too thick. And then it eventually kind of like just starts to like gum up. You're blinking for like probably 10 minutes, and then you're blurry for a little bit, and then it kind of goes away. Like I put it in before I drove over here. Yeah. Waited 10 minutes and then drove over here. So like I put it in like 2 hours ago and I'm fine. So, but that's like a pain in the ass. I've done that, put that in my eye. And I've also like, my eyes are getting really dry. So I've been using some eye drops just to kind of like lubricate and all that.
That makes sense. Eye lube.
Yeah.
So I've never been able to put that Visine in my eye.
Do you miss?
No, I just can't. I can't bring myself to do it. Thinking about this and talking about this now, I'm like very averse. My feelings are very intense against putting stuff in my eye, and I can't do it. When I was a child, this is probably everyone's experience, but like your parents have to give you like some sort of blob in your eye for like treating something like pink eye or something.
Yeah.
And they would have to hold me down,
hold you down,
kicking and screaming,
yeah,
like a little child.
That's what you were.
Ugh.
You don't like thinking about yourself as a child, Ryan?
No, I don't mind that. I just don't mind. I don't like I care.
I child.
And then the other thing is like, do you think you can become dependent on Visine?
Yes.
Like some people use it a lot.
Yes.
Like chapstick.
Yes, I do.
It creates a dependency.
I think so. There's different models of it, and I recall hearing or reading and believing a chain of evidence that said that like there's some kind of Visine that's like liquid tears, right?
Okay.
That are, it's just like saline and you put it in your eye and it's like forcing yourself to cry to kind of like lubricate. But I've also heard that there's like these redness relief or like slight allergy. They're like slightly medicated but still over the counter eye drops that make your eye lose their ability to create natural tears over time.
Whoa.
That it's kind of like, I don't know, another human process that is degraded by using some sort of synthetic material. I'm sure there's a lot of examples.
So you train your body to not produce it because you're inserting it.
Right. It's also kind of like how taking an antacid to solve heartburn can actually cause your heartburn to be worse because your stomach is like a self-contained apparatus that regulates its own pH based on acid secretion. So now you're dumping all this like bismuth into your body. It's lowering your stomach's pH and your body's like, why can't I digest the food? Because the pH is too low. So it outputs double acid and now you've like created more of a problem by treating the problem instead of just like not having pizza for 3 meals in a day.
Well, I love pizza.
It's delicious.
I'm not going to stop eating pizza.
Then just don't start taking Tums and deal with the heartburn and you'll be fine.
Heartburn, I never had it until this year.
Ugh, it's bad.
It's not good.
I've had it for like a couple of years now, but
Do you know that people tried to use Visine because there was this like rumor that it would cause diarrhea in people?
Oh, like as like a roofie?
So like people would pour Visine into people's drinks to try and give them diarrhea.
Right.
Because someone out there said that would happen?
Yeah, the way I've heard it spun was that like Creep is at the bar.
Uh-huh.
Hot girl's got a boyfriend, so you Visine the boyfriend, he runs to the bathroom, and then
shit,
like,
that's malicious.
Then you're like creepy.
Yeah,
right.
I never heard about it.
Well, that's like the
context.
well, that's the like narrative that I've heard of like Visine in bars.
Interesting. Huh.
So is that a real thing?
Yeah, and people like do it to like prank each other. But what happens?
I'm so glad I don't have friends who do that.
Yeah, fucking like, assholes.
Why? There should never be a situation where like the social order allows that to happen.
No, it's true. I don't understand.
That should have been pruned out of the prank. There's like degrees of the prank that should have been pruned out of society months ago.
But the problem is that it actually spiking somebody's drink with Visine can fucking kill them.
Shit.
Really? Yeah, in many cases.
Like organ failure?
Well, it like interacts with other things and causes like severe sickness that has nothing to do with diarrhea, and people have to go to people have been hospitalized. People have done this to old people apparently.
Why?
In the past.
His dad was mean.
And he wanted to make him pay. That's a quote.
Making him poop at 84.
Yeah, and that man dude nearly died.
That man has pooped like what, 10, like fucking 130% more than you have in his entire life. And you're gonna make him poop as punishment. He's like, I've done this shit.
It's the worst. And so like even young people have had, like somebody did it to their teacher in 2015, and they put Visine drops in their coffee, and the teacher was taken to the hospital.
It's not as bad as... Have you heard the story about the fucking kids who put acid in the teacher's coffee before a field trip?
Well, hold on. The question is, where was the field trip?
The zoo, I believe.
Nice.
But I think the teacher was tripping balls and finally was just like, I'm pretty sure someone dosed me.
Yeah.
Like, had to like go up to their boss and be like, I don't know what that's like, but this, if I were to imagine what that was like, it would be exactly like this. Can I go home?
If the boa constrictor is talking to me, and in talking is reciting Charles Dickens, I might have been dosed.
So I want to Google that. That's either like someone's bit or a real news article that I heard. And it's...
LSD dosing teacher.
Field trip, something. There it is.
There we
BuzzFeed, good old
boing,
2009. Boing. Oh yeah, so it's a like gonzo piece by the teacher, which is weird.
Yeah.
After this, like he decided he was going to write about it, and it's like the kid came up to him after like 20 minutes and was like, "Oh, how you feeling?" So he had a suspicion that something was up.
He said, "This is by far the dumbest thing you've ever done. How did you do it? Coffee. How much? Small drop. Should keep you going for a while."
Fuck, that's a nightmare.
That sucks.
Timothy Leary, one of Timothy Leary's cardinal virtues was not surprise setting.
No.
There were not 3 S's there. There were only 2.
Yep. Oh, man. So I'm going to skip Eye of the Storm because we got nothing to say about it. Do you have anything to say about that?
No, it's calmer than the rest of it.
But we should really, really talk about The Third Eye.
Which that teacher probably had blasted open on that
yeah, just
trip to the zoo.
And so we're looking at the definition of third eye, and it's the locus of occult power and wisdom in the forehead of a deity, especially the god Shiva. It's the eye of insight. That's what it's called. It can be activated through yoga. Informal term for pineal eye.
What would you do if your third eye went blind?
I would start a band. So I guess it's just a way of talking about the access point to the spiritual world, right? Which we're all about, accessing the spiritual world.
My spiritual access point is the band Third Eye Blind.
Third Eye Blind, yeah. Jumper? No?
I hardly know her.
So have you ever had an experience that has made you feel like you possessed a third eye?
I don't think so.
No?
What would that mean? Like having a vision? No, I've never had a vision. Yes, I've had a dream that like a monster is coming after me, and I would assume that that's some sort of hallucination or vision.
It's true.
Like, No.
No hallucinations, no visions?
Not really.
No.
Not that. No. I mean,
What about any time that anything has ever, like, have you ever had, like, sleep paralysis? Did we talk about that on this podcast previously?
no, not in like the. I've
Okay.
never like woken up and felt trapped. Have you?
Definitely. Yeah.
I want to hear about that. Did you feel like your third eye was open, or is this just kind of like a?
No, this is just because I don't think
Your third eye was still asleep, but the other two were awake.
I'm assuming that
"Fuck."
like people don't actually have a sensation that they have a third eye, and through that third eye they see the spirit world.
Okay.
Maybe they do. If you do, listeners, please let us know. But I imagine that you don't like sort of itch your forehead and then have a vision, and because there's something opening.
Right.
It's just like a metaphorical symbol to describe accessing.
Like spiritual interconnectedness.
Yeah, probably. That's my assumption.
Well, in that case, then yeah, I've definitely been in situations where I feel like my narrative self has taken a backseat to like very much in the moment, like being in tune and in the moment.
Yeah.
Like the biggest thing that I can say, the like biggest time that I have this, and like why I continue to go back sometimes, because it's like a really liberating experience, is doing like a very hot yoga class.
Oh yeah, I love.
And like there's a point where I dissociate about 20 minutes in, and
Totally.
I just like feel like very in tune with like every muscle fiber of my body, and like
Absolutely.
things get a little bit like my field of vision becomes more bright, for lack of a better term.
Cool.
It's almost like a little bit of a lightheadedness.
Yeah,
so that's
definitely
like the most like in tune with body and mind and soul third eye-ness
sort
that
of
I've
like
ever really experienced.
present mind or perceiving versus narrative. Perceiving takes over, narrative self goes in the background.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, I think I felt that doing hot yoga. I did it a lot, so I got kind of used to it.
Yeah.
And then Bikram was a fucking schmuck, so everyone stopped doing Bikram yoga.
I've never done
and
Bikram
now I
yoga.
miss it.
I've heard it's like really, it's like more of a workout than a like.
It is. It's
Like
a
a meditation.
90-minute hot yoga
Okay.
thing where you're moving the whole time, and it's like a bunch of really intense
It's 90 minutes.
poses. Yeah.
I'm surprised it's actually that
They go,
popular
like,
with that much of a
fast.
time commitment.
True.
Like I would, I don't know, like an hour and a half seems like a lot of time to show up on someone else's schedule. Like I could manage going to the gym for an hour and a half because I get to pick when I go.
Right.
But like yoga's 6:30, 8, or you miss it.
And I was going like 3 or 4 times a week.
That's impressive.
Well, it was like
Did you like it? You enjoyed the experience?
obsessive. Yeah, I fucking loved it. I can totally see. So the dude Bikram became like a shitty cult leader who sexually harassed the people who worked for him.
I believe he had a quote that was like someone would pay $1 million for one of his sperm.
Yeah, something like that. He just became an insane douchebag. And then people stopped having Bikram yoga places. So now I can't get my fix. So I just got to find some hot yoga places. But anyway, yeah, it was great. I love the hot yoga.
Yeah, I love that too. When you're looking, go for the vinyasa yoga. That's the good one. It's usually hot.
That's the good one.
It's like usually sometimes like branded as like power yoga.
Okay.
Or, like,
Okay.
Oh,
So the closest I ever came to interacting with the spirit world, which was, just my shitty brain,
right.
was when I had sleep paralysis. So this was like 2010-ish.
Okay.
I have a dream about being in this house. I'm in this house. It's kind of dark. I'm walking around and I'm hunting a ghost, which, fuck, I would never do that in real life. But in the dream, I wanted to find this ghost. There was a good reason. Don't remember it. And I'm going up to the second floor. I can't find it, but I know it's there. And I get to the top in like sort of like an off to the side area of the house. The houses in my dreams often have like different like paths you go up through that couldn't physically exist, and that's what happened here. I end up in this like attic room. I find this ghost. It's looks like the sort of very outline of a woman and long hair and kind of older and like kind of bright as you would imagine, right? Just sort of like white,
Yeah.
shaded. And then as soon as I find her, she lunges at me in the dream and like makes like contact with my body and disappears. And I wake up in the exact moment that she hit me. In my
Okay.
bed.
Yep.
I can't move. I can't make any noise. So this is what sleep paralysis does. It makes you're awake but you're asleep. Your eyes can open but nothing else can happen. So I'm sitting there completely frozen, trying to scream, and still sort of dreaming, and I can hear her voice, and she says her name. Her name was Magdalena, and I eventually cause like a little bit of air to audibly come out of my mouth, like and then I wake up, and I'm much better.
When you woke up, did it feel like you woke up? Like, did you feel like you were in some like weird dream plane? Like, or were you were in your room?
I was in my room.
So there was no like discontinuity between the breath of air and you being actually able to move again. Like, it wasn't like you fell back asleep for a split second and then...
No.
See, that's where I would, like, wonder, like, oh, sleep paralysis. Like, maybe it's just, like, another Inception layer.
Right.
Where, like, you weren't really awake yet, but, like, you were... But it sounds like you were probably horrified and very much awake.
I could see, you know, I mean, I guess you convince yourself that you're awake when you're dreaming all the time, but, like, I was awake in my bedroom. I felt like, I would say I was 99% sure that I was awake and able to move.
That's never happened to me, no.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That sounds scary.
I'm possessed to this day.
That sounds, Magdalena. If I say Magdalena one more time this podcast, might have a problem. No, that's never happened to me. Though that sounds like something that would like mess me up for a week, and I would need to take a personal day the next day to kind of like chill out
around the area to see if anyone with that name had died ever.
You go deeper on some of that shit than I ever would consider. Like, that's just like you're writing your own horror. Like,
well, I love horror movies.
If I were writing a horror movie, that's what my main character who's going to get got would do. Yeah. But if he didn't do that, it'd probably be fine and
just
go to work.
Get got and not know. I'd rather know.
I'd rather get got and not know.
This is the big difference between us. Learning more about each other every day. Every cast. Yeah, so that's the closest thing that I could think of.
To the third eye. Yeah. Yoga or nightmares. Take your pick to experience the third eye.
Or drugs. Be the teacher. Go to the zoo.
Go to the zoo by accident.
Talk to some fucking exotic birds.
To all my fellow teachers out there, keep the damn lid on your coffee.
Yep. That seems like a good solution. I'll just get in there. There's like the little mouth hole, right?
I think that like by the time you start fiddling with it, you get noticed.
Should we make a coffee alarm? Like
for teachers?
A full lid that if someone tries to take the lid off of the coffee, then something goes off? Yeah.
Starts yelling, put that Visine bottle back. Step away from the coffee.
It doesn't work. You're going to kill me.
But there's eyes and lids.
So there are so many eyes we could talk about. We talked in our previous podcast about the eye of God.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to learn about that, you should listen to our at the fair episode. What was it?
Yeah, it was Summerfest.
Summerfest.
And if you watch the Summerfest video, there's a related video that's like the short. We did our first short with Summerfest. And there's pictures of the picture of the Eye of God in there, the actual one that we saw at the fair.
It does look like an eye. But then, like, so does everything. I was at dinner the other night, and there was this table that was kind of like orangey brownish, beige-ish. And like,
beige-ish. And that's our new computer color.
And had all these like swirl shapes in it. And I was like sitting there, and I was like, fuck, this looks like purgatory. There are all these like little faces in these like swirls of weird brown. So we're trained to see eyes and everything, right?
Yeah. Have you ever done the Google DeepMind where it starts to see eye? Like AI looks at a bunch of photos and like learns what a dog is.
No.
And then they put this image out and it takes like all the Google image results and like puts them onto this like trippy image and and notice like if you look at everything, all these pictures, they try to recompose them.
So what I'm looking at right here is composed by an AI thing?
Yeah, so this is the DeepMind.
Yep.
So the neural network takes photos or paintings or things that exist, runs them through a database of like all these other photos and images that exist, and then tries to recreate it based on like what it's seen. And what's crazy is this thing is taking like, if you look in certain places, there's like a dog instead of the back of a saddle.
I could see that.
And there's like eyeballs all over anywhere there's like dip in texture. So this new facial recognition technology, what it does is it takes like light differences. Like you can tell you're looking at a human face because it tends to be dark under the eye and bright on the forehead and like different on the eyeball.
Yeah, yeah.
So you triangulate all these different things, and what ends up happening is computers get really good at seeing eyes and things.
Oh, fuck.
And
I mean, this thing looks like what it looks like when I'm on mushrooms.
like a dog saddle?
The color, not the actual shapes, but like the way that this thing is presented color. Like this horse has like a very wide spectrum of color across its body.
Yeah.
And its body kind of ends weirdly here.
Right. But what's interesting is that it didn't compose this photo based on anything that didn't exist in the original image. So what it's doing is it's taking the colors and the way that the colors spread and bounce off of one another, almost the way light hits an object, and it's making inferences about that. And what's interesting is you're likening this to something that your body does in an altered state.
Totally.
That maybe our brain is like doing a lot of smoothing, like a lot of anti-aliasing for us.
And when you strip that
part away, you start to see what the computer sees, which is really, it's just a array of colors that you're combining into forms to make meaning.
Right.
So I find this to be like one of the more fascinating things, and we will definitely post some links to some of these photos.
That's amazing.
Do you want to look at a few more? I feel like I want to hear your reaction about a few more of these.
Well, it's like I was thinking like...
There we go.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
again, it looks
like... the clouds are turning into sheep.
So, like, it's doing this thing...
There's like an alien man up here.
See, like, the patterns that it's seeing in, like, the way the colors are distributed? That's the thing that I'm likening to be on mushrooms. It's like... there are patterns that I'm seeing that aren't there. Or maybe they're just potential ways of seeing, right? Like you're saying?
Yeah.
But it's kind of like when we were looking at the white wall over here earlier and saying we do see like tiny flecks of like shimmering color all over it when you're looking at a blank thing. And you just don't pay attention to those most of the time.
Right.
And this is kind of highlighting that, maybe?
If you look at Munch's Scream.
The Scream
has eyes all in it too.
All right.
Basically, the waves and the colors and the way it goes was seen to invoke and Van Gogh did this too, to invoke the idea of movement.
Yep.
That it seems like the water and the sky and the clouds behind him are moving. But what's weird is that like at all of the focal points where you would be like, oh, this is where like it subtly blends into the next thing, this machine put an eyeball there.
Yeah.
Like, straight up eyeball.
It really did.
Like, you know, like, I don't know. I feel like our brain does a lot of processing and smoothing. And,
there's one other kind of eye that we haven't talked about yet, and that's the private kind. A private eye.
The private eye. Like iGadget.
What is that?
Inspector Gadget.
Inspector Gadget?
Well, I mean, the I stands for like investigator, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And, like, I've been watching a lot of Bored to Death lately.
That's such a good show.
So, like, have you ever known a private eye or interacted with one in your life?
No.
No?
I mean, no, but maybe that's like part of the job. Is like maybe I've interacted with numerous private eyes and just thought they were some person that I like met by happenstance. Like maybe someone's got tons of dirt on me because they keep sending a private eye after me.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Maybe.
So as far as I know, no, I've never met a private eye.
Me either.
Oh, okay.
I've never met one either.
We should go meet one.
We should go find one. Listeners, if you're a private eye, let us know.
Don't worry, we'll keep your secret.
But I don't think it has to be secret because otherwise how could you advertise?
Just be a public eye.
Semi-private eye? But like, so there's a lot to talk about with private eyes, but we're going to talk about Hammett. Was a writer, fiction writer.
Wrote like mysteries, like detective stories.
Yeah, and actually worked for the Pinkertons as a private investigator.
Like the guys who made the Weezer album?
Just like them.
Just like them?
Yeah.
That's cool. He's like, is he like the only, he seems like probably the only mystery writer who like actually knew what he was talking about.
The only one I know of.
And didn't just project like dangling murder weapons and things onto a crime scene.
Right, and he was a huge influence on Chandler, who does awesome fucking PI writing or just awesome noirish writing. Yeah, but actually worked as a fucking private investigator. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
It sounds like the work of it would be really frustrating to me, though. Because, like, you don't have the resources that a police officer has unless are an ex-police officer and can have friends do favors for you all the time, but I'm sure that runs out. Yeah,
you don't get paid enough to keep that relationship going, I feel like.
But I wonder, so I was thinking like that's the limitation, is basically like access to technology and access to information.
I think I see where you're going with this, though.
But like nowadays, I feel like if you were just a little bit good with hacking or whatever, you could be a pretty effective private eye.
Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, Jason Schwartzman's character, like Jonathan Ames, is that his name?
Yeah, he's on Craigslist.
Yeah, he's on Craigslist, and like people go to him like an unlicensed private eye.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, that's fiction, but like I bet there is a market for it.
Yeah, I'll bet there's a market in like the what is being called like the dark web, like Silk Road. You like, here's what I offer.
The thing,
I'll find a person for you.
Oh, the thing that's making my Bitcoin investment be artificially suppressed in its value because people think it's only used for private investigators and drugs.
Yes.
Huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to perpetuate that myth right now.
Are we?
Well, we already are.
That's not true. Bitcoin has multiple uses, including...
How long have you been waiting to mention Bitcoin on the podcast?
Including being able to purchase things on Overstock.com without entering any credit card details. It's amazing. If, however, I hadn't bought that Zelda game like 2 years ago, that equivalent amount of Bitcoin would be worth a lot more money right now. Yeah,
there's an eye.
I bought a Zelda game. Oh, there's an eye in Zelda.
Yeah.
The Sheikah eye.
The Sheikah eye.
Yeah, it's like the
most recent
the
Zelda.
Teardrop. Yeah, it reminds me of the same thing with the Lens of Truth.
Yep.
Like in Ocarina of Time.
Yep.
Had the same logo.
Totally. Love the Zelda.
That's what I want. I want the eyes of truth, and I want to be able to turn them on and off. That's my replacement eye.
That's your replacement eye?
Yeah, anything Zelda that would make me be better in the Zelda universe.
All right, everybody, you heard it here first. This is the Walnut Desk.
So Ryan, eyes? Yes or no?
Oh, we got to do the thumbs up thing.
I think we do.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Both.
Eyes.
Thumbs up.
We're
eyes.
all about the eyes.
Not about the Chalazian.
No, fuck the Chalazian. Don't Google it.
Don't Google the Chalazian.
Your imagination's better.
Subscribe on iTunes. Subscribe on YouTube. Give us likes. Give us comments. Discuss the episodes under the YouTube videos. We will engage with you. And we will tell you are right or wrong.
I am sitting, working all day, and I respond to things and tweet all day.
All right, this has been the Walnut Desk Podcast. I'm Will.
I'm Ryan.
Until next time.